Hey, what's going on, everyone? Astrologer Eric Rosen for Viking Rising Astrology. This is your Tuesday, July 30th horoscope 2024. I don't usually say the year, but we're halfway through it. 2025, 2026 is a big year. I feel like the energy for the rest of the year will continue to be focusing on a path of mastery, taking action. It's character development. Who's really going to lead through some really interesting years going ahead and beyond. So what that looks like in terms of a micro of today is, I'm going to call it don't give up hope, because I see people kind of doing this, like they're jumping off either their spiritual path or they're closing a business or they're freaking out or whatever. So a couple things. Pluto coming back into Capricorn. We've got one more month. So with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, it can feel like the future's not going to work out. It can feel like there's no depth to the projected place of where we want to go. It can feel like we're running out of solutions. Maybe even like the walls are closing in circumstantially with that Saturn in Pisces squaring Jupiter in Gemini, because there is a spiritual fact check at things, like where actually are the circumstances of your life, and not just being hopeful, that things are going to change. Like there's actually like a fact checking, especially with North Node and Chiron in Aries, of like, hey, like, are you taking the actions to make your circumstances better? And like maintaining a positive spiritual mindset of a dream that can go forward, but you're also honoring and respecting where you're at. And the reason that's important is because with that Pluto that's coming back into Capricorn, we are revisiting an old School of Hard Knocks reality, which is a good thing, because when it makes a good aspect to Neptune, it's actually going to bring us the missing piece of like a sense of spiritual destiny, a tool, an understanding of something that we need in order for the future to work out, that I think a lot of people are like bailing on. And so it's almost like I see some people almost like adjusting to the reality that's coming, that's only going to last like 3 months. And it's like, don't put all your eggs in one basket, like one way or the other. It's like not just like being like, it's all going to work out, my future, my vision, it's cool. Just like stay in a holding position. It's like, no, like change is mandatory right now. And honestly, the main change that's being demanded of us is ourselves, and I would say also, our thoughts too, the thoughts that we're having that are making up our reality, with Jupiter especially getting activated by that moon in Gemini, that North Node, Chiron in Aries. I mean, that's a huge deal with all this right now, and why there's just a lot of energy that's like breaking down too. And I want to say too, for people, it's like, if there's anything coming up around prosperity or abundance, and you're like, gosh, it's not working, or something feels off or whatever, it's like, it's because it's off in the matrix too. Like it's off like out in the structures, like of things. That's why it's like, the matrix is like what? It's like the politics, it's the economics, it's the social, like religious thing. And that's why I'm like, like just don't go there. Like don't give your attention to either of those things. Now, the funny thing is like, even if you're like, yeah, whatever, religion or politics, there's still a money piece to deal with. And so that is the piece. It's like, action is the way through this, right? We still have to do what we need to do in order to make sure that we're fully resourced. And this, honestly, it brings up survival of the fittest energy, but it's also spiritual survival of the fittest energy in a weird way that's coming too, because like, here in America, like if you're watching this, you're going to be okay. Like we're all going to be okay no matter what the next 3 months of challenges hold, right? But it's more like a spiritual survival piece. Like don't sell your soul out because of fear, because of scarcity, because of, and also even just like pushing to get things done without like allowing the character development to take place to change yourself, because there will be people like that too that are, you know, reacting and just like doing a bunch of stuff and working harder to change their circumstances. You know, this very like, you know, masculine, like North Node Chiron piece of I'm just going to hang on to the last breath and keep pushing. I won't give up. And that's all well and good. But it's also doing that from a spiritual place of actually, I mean, use the word surrender, you know, that it's like, it's action, but it's also surrendering to the sensitivities of like, wow, I didn't think my life would be here. I didn't think my circumstances would look like this. I didn't think that I would feel like this. Like, you know, what happened? Because it's like we entered a different world, you know, once Jupiter and Uranus met in Taurus, and then it came into Gemini, and then all of a sudden, I know it can seem like things like went from, oh, it's going to be okay, kind of stable, you know, like everything's going to work out, the stability, to like, whoa, like now that it's these like little changes that we got to figure out in our lives that can feel overwhelming, and you know, like things like shrunk or something a little bit. But God, the astrology, you know, it's all, I don't want to say God per se, because, you know, we're all, I think, understanding a lot about God, you know, source, the origins of humanity with these transits, but it's also like the astrology doesn't lie, like in terms of the predictable pattern of the cosmos, like it, you know, 500 years ago that we were going to have this astrology in 2024. So how we used our free will as a species matters, but that's, I think, the hard reality check too. But that square between Saturn and Jupiter is we are where we are circumstantially, and so like in our personal lives, you know. And I didn't even mention the best part too, which is like, you know, we still got all this Leo energy of the Sun in Leo, Venus in Leo, you know, Mercury's in its shadow, and of course that can be confusing things a little bit too on a mental level of trying to understand changes to make, things to look at. But we can still put our passion and like hold the hope and the belief like as we're like taking the action. So I would almost like use the passion of not even so much like, yes, you know, this thing that I'm doing, this passion, this action, it's going to change my reality. It's going to get my results. It's going to, you know, because we almost got to release the attachment piece. It's almost like getting more excited about, yes, like I love myself so much that I'm doing this and it's changing me, and focus on that. And then that change in yourself, that's the piece where people talk about manifestation, where it's like you let God show you, the universe show you something better. It's like, hey, I'm manifesting XYZ or better. Like, so it's almost like let the universe like show you like what can be better by being your best version of yourself. But it's not laying on the bathroom floor crying. I mean, sure, there might be moments of that, you know, it's like that's part of the North Node, you know, Chiron piece too in Aries is like the slipping and the, you know, not feeling strong and hesitation. This isn't about like some John Wayne bullshit. This is more about, you know, I continue to maintain it's like we keep moving forward and taking action like while feeling like we allow ourselves to simultaneously, basically you could say, being in our masculine feminine energies at the same time, you know, that it's not like one or the other, because a lot of times I think we do that to try to simplify things, to like let the mind try to process the puzzle of things. And that's the issue too. It's like if you're trying to like win some like puzzle game right now, good luck. That's like playing a game with the Grim Reaper and like Bill and Ted, he's just gonna probably cheat anyway, you know, because a transformation is coming for us all and on a collective level, and it just, you know, it continues to happen, and it's a very deep, radical spiritual one, but it is one where we can, you know, rise up and be that phoenix rising. I think personally, collectively, that it may seem strange and might take years to understand, but like these hard parts that we're like going through that feels like it's maybe sometimes inverted from the exact way that we want things to go is like exactly the medicine that we needed to like get to where we want to go. So it's a foundational I think acceptance in things, but like we also again improve the circumstances by that loving character that we're becoming and taking that action. And anyone, you know, that seems like they've got it, you know, all together, it's like, you know, I was looking at a video that I did for coming into 2024, and I talked about it becoming an equal playing field, you know, and I still believe that, where it's like, no matter how well we prepare from the game that everyone's been playing with Pluto and Capricorn for the past 16 years, it's like Pluto brings kind of like an equal reset to like the human collective, right? Like, it's like, I hate to say it like this, but it's like, say someone's like manifested really well, like prosperity or something, but then they, you know, they did something with their health. That's all I'll say, because there's no judgment. I think a lot of people will be fine, some won't, where it's like their health's not good anymore, or, you know, they went out and manifested, but they didn't really like tap into their soul's identification growth that I'm like talking about, and they missed the mark. You know, they saw, you know, like dollar signs or whatever, and just like, oh, I'm just gonna go do this, you know, and but it was coming from a place of fear. And so then what? You know, like what happens if changes happen in that person's life and then they don't know how to deal with it because they didn't do the soul character development? So I just want to say that it's like there's no perfect cookie cutter action system or perfect set of values, especially with Uranus and Taurus, that anyone can go to. But I think that's why it's wild and crazy, is that we almost have to like be okay with these directions, you know, that we're going in our own different ways that just like make sense for us, like on a mental factual level, but also still like a soul level too, you know, so that we don't just go one way or the other right now, or we go all in on just like the material factual, this is like what the reality is showing me piece, nor do we go fully the other way where it's like, you know, it's all love and light, it's all going to be okay. It's like, no, like we got work to do. We got work to do. So anyways, if you guys want to get an astrology reading, I'll drop those links down below. Still working on the ebook. Hoping to have that out here in the next few days. I'll let you know. I'm going to say namaste today. Happy Tuesday.